So now we are moving away from the discussion of product level controls, and I'm sure that if this is the first experience you've had with international trade, your eyes rolled back in your head when we started talking about the classifications. Now, everyone struggles with this in the beginning, and it is hard to learn, but it is a necessary experience to have. It is easy to understand why companies might select to not venture into the international business arena without dedicated staff. So, relax. I told you from the beginning that I do not expect you to be an expert. I expect you to try to deal with these international requirements. Focus. You are okay. I merely want you to answer as many questions as you can in your paper. Your presentation will be a desk-side presentation, and you will share what you've learned. You will not read your papers. You will merely share which classification number you selected, which country you are selling to or buying from. You will be sharing a little bit about the business etiquette and what you learned about the country's corruption. Don't let yourself become overwhelmed. Stay focused. So let's look at the type of information that will be included in this section of the project. It will be a lot easier than the previous section, and the information is readily available. You can use the suggested resources in these lectures and look beyond the resources to what is on the internet. In estimating your landed cost, let me introduce you to the globalshipping.com website. All right. This is a calculator that cannot possibly be accurate. It can't be accurate because if you were truly shipping something, you would want to speak with a representative from the company and negotiate the best rate possible. For our purposes, however, this is fine. So let's look at the calculator. And this will give you an estimated cost. So let's say that you're going to be shipping your cargo from Rotterdam, Netherlands to Norfolk, Virginia. And let's say that you are bringing in plastic straws in a 20-foot container. And CL stands for container load, and LCL stands for less than container load. For our purposes, you're going to select CL, which is a full container load. You can select whether you want a 20-foot container or a 40-foot container. And of course, if you want to use ocean, air, or ground, you can select from the tabs there as well. You can even compare them and select which one appears to be cheaper. When you click the calculation key, you'll see on the left-hand side that it will give you an estimated freight amount, which in our case, sending a 20-foot container from Rotterdam to Norfolk was $2,086.79. It's going to take a little bit more than 10 days to get here, and it's going to be traveling 3,400 nautical miles. Now, it does send up a message here, reserve this rate for 30 days, and you can put your email address in there. Let's not bother this company by requesting a lot of bogus quotes. Let's just say no thank you here. But this is an easy way to try to get some freight costs. Now, your landed cost would include everything from storage, the inland truck driver, anything that has to do with packing the container, insurance, but we're not going to go into that level of detail here. If you'll get your freight rates off of the the globalshippingcost.com website, that's fine for our purposes. Okay. So, for part 2 of your paper, you should consult resources like the CIA World Factbook. This is a great source of information that is also convenient. We have talked about the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative and Global Edge, but the Department of State will also provide you with information on inherent dangers in traveling in the region that you selected, and also will give you some information on corruption risks in the foreign markets. Now, one resource that we haven't talked about is the Market Research Library, and it's managed by the U.S. Department of Commerce. It's also a great source of information. If you can get your hands on a country commercial guide through this website, then I think that the country commercial guides are the best. And I will let you see how we look up things at this website. not the one that I wanted. Market Research Library by USA. Okay, so this is brought together by the U.S. Commercial Service. And so what you would do in order to get research on a foreign market, let me make this a little larger for you. You would select an industry, and let's just say consumer goods. And of course, in an industry that is as broad as consumer goods and home furnishings, you would want to pick another sector. So let's just look at general consumer goods, and let's assume that you're looking for information. Now you can select a region or a country, but I would not recommend that you do both. I would have you run this report twice, one for region and one for country. So for our purposes, let's just select a country here. Let's say Argentina. And the type of reports that you want, here is where you can select country commercial guides. You can also get market research report and best markets report for the industry. So we'll go ahead and select all. And you can set a date range. I don't usually set a date range. I usually just evaluate the resources as they become available, because some markets are updated more often than others. And then hit your go button. And you'll see that there are two reports here, one on Argentina, corporate giftware and consumer goods, and one on gaming and casino services. So you can go through and you can change your options here. If we were to go back and say select South America as opposed to an individual country and hit go, we might have additional information that's available. And here we have a country commercial guide for U.S. companies doing business in Brazil, in addition to the two previous resources that we were able to get in the research. So this is certainly a good resource to use and may provide you some additional information. The commercial guides typically are maybe 35 to 40 pages long, so you really have to look through them very quickly and take out the information that you need. Now, in analyzing risks in foreign countries, you consider things like political instability, government control issues, and social unrest. You also consider issues like transparency. If you can't trust the information you are receiving out of the country, either because the information is biased or because the source of the information is concealing important facts, it is very difficult to launch a successful operation. International organizations like the UN deal with corruption, as well as transparency.org, which actually ranks the level of corruption that exists in the countries. By visiting these websites, you can obtain a foundational level of information, but if this were a real-life scenario, you would definitely want to dig deeper. So thanks for trying out the online lectures, and I will see you next week. Don't forget to check your email for a copy of all the lecture links, the checklist, and the link to the final lecture, which is part 4. That will not be recorded tonight. So thank you for making note of these lectures and taking time to view them, and I will see you next week. Good night.